Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Susan.
I'm Tab.
We are MCU Explained here to discuss episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And boy, do we have our work cut out for us today. Oh,
Truly. Episode 2, The Star-Spangled Man.
yes, it's such a heavy episode, and there's so much about this that I didn't know and had to ask Tab. And I'm just really excited to learn more right now too. So I'm happy that we're an explaining channel.
Yay!
Because I'll learn something too.
Chock full of both social stuff, current world stuff, and also Easter eggs and more signs of maybe what's to come in the MCU as a whole.
And it was a very tough watch at parts, but also balanced out with hilarity.
Yes.
There's some excellent comedic moments as well as a lot of just very heavy emotional ones. So let's get started.
Let's get started. We open with John Walker, the new Captain America, getting ready to do his big intro interview, whatever. We got a ton of questions about why is he such a dick, but guys, you're not supposed to like him.
Yeah. We got half of the questions were just why is he such a dick, or like what's up with this guy, why do I hate him so much? And it's like, because you're not supposed to be on board with him, you're supposed to dislike him. We're supposed to want Sam to have that shield, and they're doing an excellent job of making a super douchebaggy, dislikable Captain America who could not be more different than Steve, other than the fact that they both were in the military.
Right. And he's the opposite of the whole point of Steve being Captain America, which John Walker is a fabulous soldier. He's an amazing soldier. He's not a good man.
Yeah.
That's not what that was for.
Yeah. Steve had all of the heart, and that's what always made him worthy, to use a Thor word, of the super serum. So
yeah, John Walker's not lifting that hammer. Never.
John Walker is never lifting that hammer.
So first of all, he's having this rally interview thing at his old high school.
Which
Whoa.
I was like, I would if I got the shield for some reason, because everyone went insane and were like, you should have it, Susan, I would definitely not pick my high school.
Yeah. So weird choice. The sign of someone who high school was the best time for him. Yeah, he had the best. Yeah. He is still with his high school sweetheart. I actually never could tell if I looked for rings, so I don't know if they're married or just still together. Mm-hmm. But still with his high school sweetheart, who's incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
Still best friends with his. I don't know if Lamar went to high school with him, but they were definitely soldier best friends.
Yeah, definitely soldier best friends. Couldn't tell if they were high school besties. I'm all for people finding love that young, if that's what, if you can really make that work. Not to sound anti thing, but I am skeptical of John Walker with the human being, or the character that he is, being able to sustain something like that.
Yes.
It takes a certain type of personality, and I don't think he has it.
It does. And his wife seems great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's also surprising. His wife seems awesome.
Yeah, his wife seems awesome, super supportive, and super loving.
Here we are with this guy who has an incredible support system and is an amazing soldier. And I do think, because he's trying to psych himself up before, and they both come in to talk to him, and there's a super identifiable thing. He doesn't want to let people down. He does know that doing this is a big deal. Taking this, it's a huge deal, but once he steps out on that field, he seems fine with it.
And it's clearly some sort of act. We see definitely two sides to this personality a few times in this episode, which was kind of excellent how they did that, where it almost seemed like the sincerity of the weight of being Captain America was fake as the performance, because you can really tell that the actual personality is him trying to force Sam and Bucky into the box that he wants them in.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll get into more of that later, but it is really interesting to see this like dual personality that neither one seems like greatly sincere, and definitely neither are a good man.
Mm. And so this rally scene, of course, calls back to Steve when he became Cap and was basically just a spokesperson for the government, and he put on shows and stuff like that, like the symbol without actually the fight, although we do find out that's not going to be the case with John Walker. The band and everyone performing are dressed in a way that evokes Falcon's uniform. Like they have like the long cape, like
and
wings
color, right? Like a little, like not like
blue and white.
Yeah,
which are
white. Yeah.
And they're also almost entirely people of color. So we've already got this really interesting thing where his whole support system that we've seen is people of color, like holding up this white dude.
I mean, I want to get into that. Yeah, I mean, that seems pretty standard for America, and in some ways makes him a symbol of something else in America that we don't like to admit is ever a part of our country, but it is.
In this interview, too, they go through his track record, and he is an exceptional human physically, but he's not a super soldier. So he's just a really good, great soldier, exceptional human, and that's it. And in the world they're going into, that's not enough anymore. So this smash cuts to Bucky laying on his floor watching this interview, and he is heartbroken,
livid.
He is mad. He's horrified,
heartbroken, traumatized, I would venture to say.
And here's his sort of the flip. We get to see his silent acting, his silent reacting to this new Cap, the way we got to see Sam last week. Just and that
Sam's was so like painful.
Yes.
Bucky's was so angry. Like regardless of the heartbreak that you could definitely feel on his face, he was obviously lashing out. Like you could see that he was about to lash out somehow, which he did.
He looks like he got slapped in the face.
Yes, for sure. Versus Sam, who Sam just looked like disappointed and heartbroken in a different way, but like in heartbroken, like, but not unexpected.
Yeah, it's not that surprising that they've done this.
Versus Bucky definitely seemed shocked, or at least a part of him was that way.
And you can still hear the interview happening while we're watching Bucky react to it. And one of the things that John Walker says is that even though he never met Steve, he feels like they're brothers. Which, wow.
I was mad for Bucky and for Sam hearing that asshole say that.
Yeah.
Because once again, fuck that guy. I feel like we're going to say that about someone in each one of these episodes. And this one is about John Walker. Like, fuck that guy. Like, you don't
that guy
about Steve.
Yep. So we cut now to Sam, and he is heading to Munich to follow up on all the intelligence that he's been given. And Bucky appears from nowhere, which I'd like to address that they even have a line before this where they're like, last minute flight. So earlier that day, Sam probably didn't know he was going to be there getting ready to leave for Munich.
I love that this was the thing you texted me about. Out of all the things, this was the thing that Tab texted me about. And I was just like, well, we all need a friend like that who's like going to show up for our last minute flights and be like, I'm coming with you.
He's been ignoring Bucky's text.
Bucky's been ignoring Sam's text.
Bucky's been ignoring Sam's text for weeks. But he clearly knows where he is, knows what he's up to. Like he's still keeping an eye on him.
Oh man, I love
so much. Yeah, so he just
crazy person. It's great.
And one of the things I text you was how it reminded me there's an episode of Seinfeld where George keeps popping up in places Jerry is,
Uh-huh.
even though he has no way of knowing he was there. Like, why is he there? He's bothering him during, like, he comes into the dentist's office during the cleaning.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my God. But yeah, same.
Yeah. So
A Bucky / George.
yeah, Bucky just Georges his way and yells, "You shouldn't have given up the shield." And Sam's not surprised.
Right.
Because why would he be?
Totally unfazed by this happening to him.
Yep.
They're perfect. They're so good.
They're so good. And Bucky says this isn't what Steve wanted. The legacy is important to Bucky too. And Sam snaps at him about having an overextended life. Don't come in here with your overextended life and tell me about my rights. Which, yeah, Bucky isn't just a white man. He's a white man who missed a lot of social uprising and change.
Yeah, for sure.
And got to chill in Wakanda and just be cool there. Yeah. So Bucky wants to know what Sam's doing. So Sam gets him up to date on the Flag Smashers, and Bucky decides he's going too. So he obviously cares about Sam and his safety and what's going on with him more than he'll ever say out loud.
I'll never admit that. There's no.
We find out later he misses his court mandated therapy helping Sam, which is like another way of showing someone how important they are to you without actually.
It's like those 5 love languages that everybody talks about. His is like acts of service.
Yeah, Bucky's is acts of service or show up randomly where you are and insist that you're going to help.
Yeah.
So they're on the plane. Sam does not share his plane with Bucky, and they bicker like an old married couple. And then Sam leaves, flies out the plane because he can, and Bucky, Torres tells Bucky like, "Oh, you can't use a parachute. We're too close to the ground." And Bucky's like, "Oh, I don't need it." I don't know how many times he's seen Steve do this.
Yeah,
he's
totally seen Steve do it, and he's just like, I could probably do that.
Yeah, I have the serum. I've got a metal arm. I can do this. But he does not get a superhero landing. He does not.
Though I do want to know why, like, they keep giving Bucky 2 sleeves jackets just to off the one sleeve.
Well, he only needs the sleeve off. See, I think it's Bucky that's deciding to try and hide his arm. Honestly,
that's probably true.
Yeah, he doesn't want people to recognize him right now.
Yeah, that's
but he needs the whole arm to like bash into stuff.
Emotion, I get that.
And then Sam apparently also knew that Bucky would do that and filmed him with Red Wing. And Bucky squats at Red Wing like a cat.
Yeah, it was great. So
they meet up at this warehouse where Sam and Red Wing have tracked the Flag Smashers, and he thinks they're smuggling weapons. Here comes, and like you said, they're very different styles. Bucky wants to go in, start punching faces, ask questions later. And Sam wants to approach it more cautiously with the plan that he has. Yeah.
Stealth and, like I said, like a dance. Like Sam is all about the he's very stylish too. He gets shit done, but he like has style with it as well. Versus like Bucky's like, I'm gonna hit that, yeah.
Yeah, I smash. And they have the great exchange where Sam says a little time in Wakanda and you come out White Panther, and he says it's actually White Wolf, and Sam's like, huh?
And he's like, never mind. But I was like, oh yeah, the White Wolf has rested long enough. Aww.
He is the White Wolf. And then Sam just appears next to Bucky because I assume he glided over him and silently dropped down.
Yeah.
And here again, they're arguing again. I can take them. Wait, no, I want to.
How many are they there? Like how many?
How many?
Like 2, and like actually 5 plus like a hostage.
Yeah. Bucky needs to talk to Bruce, maybe. Bucky maybe needs to sit down with the new and improved Hulk
Yeah.
and talk about how yeah, maybe not always smash.
Yeah.
But as soon as he says it looks like they have a hostage, they both take off. And Bucky runs down that truck, Captain America style, super soldier, super speed, punches through that door.
Yeah.
And then he sees they're stealing medicine and vaccines, and the hostage is we find out later is indeed Carly Morgenthau, who's the leader of the Flag Smashers. And then she kicks the shit out of Bucky.
Kicks the shit out of Bucky is like kind of almost even an understatement. She's like we've mostly seen Bucky in like pretty even fights. This was not even at all. She just wiped him out like immediately and then just kept going.
Yeah,
Like
he wasn't expecting it at all.
yeah. And also like that's what he usually did to all the people that he showed. Like it's a super awesome contrast between the like nightmare Winter Soldier thing that we saw in the last episode where he just dominated that entire room of people, left no prisoners or left no witnesses, and then to watch him just like get his ass handed to him by Aaron Kellerman was fantastic.
It was so great.
Yeah.
And she's not the only one. All of these Flag Smashers appear to be super soldiers. Yeah. Carly snaps Red Wing in half, so he's gone, which Bucky enjoyed.
But then later apologized for, and then was not sorry.
She did react to Falcon flying in. She looked real shocked that Falcon was flying in, and it's possible that because he's there, she thinks that's more of a like, oh, it's the Avengers.
Yeah.
It's not just this one dude who is sometimes evil, sometimes isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're dealing with that, getting beat pretty badly. And then John Walker shows up and helps with the shield, but the shield does help.
Shield helps.
He can't do much more because he and Lamar not super soldiers. And he shoots someone also. Sam grabs Bucky off the bottom of the truck after he falls, and then they like tumble romantically through a field of flowers.
That's such a great way to put it. They tumble romantically through a field
of flowers. Yeah. Very sweet.
Couple.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Buddy movies, buddy cop movies, which this is based on, inspired by Lethal Weapon, have the exact same format as romantic comedies.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So yeah, they're gonna have these like cute little moments before they decide that they really like each other, and then there'll be some sort of huge misunderstanding, and then they'll get back together after that.
Aww.
Yeah. We get an incredible shot. I think my favorite of the episode is John Walker doing a pull-up, because it's difficult for him, even though he's a perfect human specimen. A pull-up is still a difficult thing to do. He does it and he looks real proud of himself, and then Carly just destroys him.
Yeah, she just like it was just like with one kick or something. And
yeah. Also, the phenomenal shot of Sam flying up over the sign on the truck, and then the woman that runs through the sign just keeps going. Yeah. This is some good stuff that they're on.
Yeah. Perfect.
So Sam and Bucky are walking. They're actually being pretty cute. Because Sam said something about his robot brain, and Bucky says it's computing. Like he's not.
Yeah, he's like playing along with the insult.
Yeah. And Sam asks how, after 80 years, are there 8 super soldiers running loose? Which this is the setup line that is the reason Bucky takes him to see Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that setup is. But then Walker and Hoskins drive up and try to get them to ride together because John Walker wants to be friends with them and he wants them all to work together. And Bucky asks him if he's ever jumped on a grenade. And he said 4 times, I have a reinforced helmet.
Mm-hmm.
John Walker's not jumping on grenades thinking he'll die to save everyone else.
Right.
He knows he'll be okay.
Yeah.
So they all talk about, like, they do get on the truck and they kind of share intel and talk about, like, why are these 8 super soldiers on a bulk run? Here's, like, they're trying to get things back to how they were during the blip. They were tracking Sam through Red Wing. John Hoskins introduces himself, or Lamar Hoskins. I flipped their names.
Okay.
Lamar Hoskins introduces himself as Walker's partner, codename Battlestar, which is enough to get Bucky to leave.
Yeah, that was actually my favorite part of the whole episode, was just like, Battlestar. Stop the like.
So Hoskins is from the comics.
Yes.
He is his partner.
I had to ask you.
Yeah.
I was like, because that was a very, because like I said, I don't have a lot of experience reading the like Cap comics essentially, but I recognize comic book structure from all the comics that I've read. And that definitely seemed like something that like stood out to me as being like from the comics. So that's why I was like, so Battlestar, is that a thing? And you were like, it is absolutely a thing. So
yeah, he is from the comics. He is Walker's partner, although I do believe they end up going separate ways at a certain point.
I mean,
can't imagine
how Walker treats race to begin with. Like, I think a black man could only stand to be around him for so long.
I think that. Oh, and here's a side note that I just wrote, which is I hate every time Walker says Bucky. It makes me furious.
Yeah.
Remember the cutscene where he's in, or cutscene, the in credit scene where he's in Wakanda and Shuri comes to check on him and she calls him Sergeant Barnes?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that what?
Yeah, that's what a military man should call him.
Sergeant Barnes?
Yeah, like show some
respect,
man.
Don't call him Bucky. You don't know him.
Not your Bucky.
So then Walker gives that speech about how he's not trying to replace Steve. He's just trying to be the best Captain America he can be. And that speech also seems to be why a lot of people are like, why don't I like this guy? He said like good things here, but this is the speech that your step parent gives to you when they suck.
They're like, I'm not trying to replace your mom.
Yep. And they don't actually care about you. Like this is a tropey stepdad speech, but it's just for Captain America instead.
It was awful.
It was awful. And then he blows it because I think he had Sam for a minute because he said it would be easier with Cap's wingman by his side. Sam's not a sidekick.
Yeah, Sam is not a sidekick.
It's good that Walker and Hoskins are partners, although there does seem to be maybe that trope of he's more of a sidekick. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully they don't go that route because
maybe they will go that route to show how different, and that's why they go separate ways, because like Sam was never treated as Steve's sidekick ever. And that was a true partnership with trust involved. And maybe even though he says he's Walker's partner, maybe Walker doesn't treat him that way, and that could be the like situation,
which would be great and then make it okay, because what we don't want is a person of color to be set up as the white man's sidekick.
Oh, for sure.
That's happened for too long. We're way past that.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think fine. I really hope that Battlestar would recognize that he's being forced into a sidekick role, and then that's where he draws the line, because they clearly were partners, clearly were equal in the military, and if he's not being treated that way, he needs to do what's best for himself.
Yes. So now we cut to what are the Flag Smashers up to? And they are getting overnight shelter from this dude who is honored to be hosting them. It is such a
Flag Smasher fanboy is what he is.
Yeah. And he says things like anything we can do for the cause. He says they call Carly Robin Hood, that they're freedom fighters. It's looking less and less like these are actually bad guys.
For sure. Though I liked the term. They are using mixed terms, because to me, like, the term Robin Hood, like, okay, that track, like, that could track as that her being them being good guys. But then when they said freedom fighters, I instantly like got like, ugh, because that's like a weird trigger word for what people say when they're fighting for freedom, but it's not actually freedom.
Yeah. And this is when we learn Carly Morgenthau, the gender swap on the original Flag Smasher, Carl Morgenthau, is the leader. And she gets a text from an unknown number, and it just says, "You took what was mine. I'm going to find you and kill you." Their hacker is getting rid of any identifying information online, but people already seem to know where they are, so they can't stay.
Yeah.
Here's where there's a lot of things said that are like, oh, I totally see where they're coming from. One of the things that gets said is, we can't let the same assholes be put back in power after the blip went. So if you were in the government and you come back after the blip, are they just reinstating you?
That sounds terrible. And I actually would agree with the Flag Smashers in that sense, especially if certain members of the government got blipped and then just were allowed to come back.
Even if you were a good leader and a good government official, you don't know what the last 5 years has been like. How are you to represent these people? So she says she makes sure everyone is on the same page, because after tomorrow, there's no going back, whatever they're doing. And they say their slogan, which is one world, one people. Not exactly straight black and white, bad guy, good guy thing here.
Yeah, this made me really, really intrigued as to how they're going to play out this storyline, because it is unclear if they're good guys, bad guys, whatever they are. But like, if they're bad, they're real bad, and if they're good, what's the end game?
So we cut back to Buck and Sam sleeping on the plane, which hasn't taken off. They're just there. And Bucky says, "Let's take the shield and do this ourselves."
Yeah.
So he just wants to steal it back and and then they go to work. He's real mad. And Sam reminds him of the consequences of stealing it before, which is, we now know that Sharon Carter was branded an enemy of the state.
Yep.
So that's where she's been, in hiding probably.
Yeah. So.
And Bucky has someone Sam should meet. So casual. And they go to Baltimore. This is also where you see, because there's an interesting thing here that we can get more into, I think, towards the end, but the Avengers and everyone who fought Thanos is a celebrity now.
Yeah.
They're being recognized on the street. And Sam is a good celebrity. He's so good with people. That kid calls him Black Falcon, and he's like, "It's just Falcon." Yeah, Black kid. And he's so like sweet and jovial and just receptive. Like, he's a great celebrity. He's someone who is good at being the face for public, like Captain America should be.
Yeah. Someone you don't instantly hate when you look at them.
And someone who can talk to people and like joke around with them and just like joke around. Like, Bucky's not going to joke around with a kid on the street.
No, Bucky's never going to joke around. Oh my God.
So they get to the house, and it's Isaiah Bradley's house. which if you read the comic I recommended, Red, White, and Black, you know exactly who that is. It is one of the Black soldiers who the super serum was tested on before it was given to Steve. And he is the only survivor, I believe, of his group. He's also one of the only ones who the serum didn't just instantly kill him. It instantly killed a bunch of people. And he also didn't have hugely adverse side effects, and it looks like they're even less in the MCU, because in the comic, when we do catch up with him in the current timeline, his mental faculties have gone, but he's still very strong and stuff like that. So yeah, so here's a dip into the horror of our actual history and testing on Black men against their will, forcing them to do things that they don't want to do, and then hide them away.
Hide them away. Throw them in prison.
Throw them in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy him and Bucky kind of taking shots at each other, because Isaiah is still like, no, I whooped your ass. I took half your metal arm.
So someone I know pointed out to me that the actor who plays Isaiah Bradley is actually like a younger actor, and they like aged him up a little bit to like not fully, not like, but he's younger than he appeared in that particular episode. He's
So we
not
can maybe
so
get a
yes, that's the point. So he's not like young like old age, but he is probably about a decade younger or so than he appears in the show right now. So it is possible that we could get an origin story flashback episode with Isaiah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Also worth noting, if this does make you want to seek out that comic, Red, White, and Black,
I started it yesterday.
Yay! It is on Marvel Unlimited.
Yes.
It's out of print. It was so controversial at the time of its release that the writer, Robert Morales, sort of didn't get to do stuff anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's important. It's just realistic. Like, it's just, man, we hate our own history so much, and
but it doesn't mean we have to, like, we can shove it under the rug anymore.
Yeah.
That's just not an okay thing for us to do. So like, even comics did it. Even escapist fantasy won't acknowledge the terror in our history.
Yes. So he asks Bucky if he's there to kill him, and Bucky says he's not a killer anymore. And Isaiah says, "You think you can wake up one day and decide who you want to be? Maybe it does work for folks like you." Which, yup. And Bucky tells him there's more of you and me out there, and we need to know how. And Isaiah says, "Do you know what they did to me for being a hero? Put in jail, tested on, all this stuff." He doesn't really get or mention the justification they used to put him in jail, which is he went on this big mission and saved a ton of people wearing Cap's uniform, and they said that was theft of government property, even though Cap himself had just started to like be a thing.
Wow. Fucking, of course.
Mm-hmm. And in this reality, he goes to jail for 30 years. I believe he gets released earlier than that in the comic, but still goes to jail for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And they ran tests on him. They took his blood, and that's when he says, "Even your people weren't done with me." And that's Hydra. He clarifies. And Sam is shocked.
Yeah.
And they get kicked out. So also, sidebar, the kid who answered the door is Elijah Bradley, the grandson of Isaiah Bradley, and he is a Young Avenger. Yep. He is the leader of the Young Avengers for a while.
I knew that one. That was an Easter egg I did know. That's because I've read Young Avengers, so that you know. Anyway.
He is at times a super soldier through different means, and most recently his granddad gave him a blood transfusion when he needed it, so that seems to be permanent because the other means were not.
Hmm.
Hmm. He was using I believe, the mutant growth hormone to do it. Yeah, he was.
Correct. That
He
sounds
was. And then Wiccan catches him, which is how I assume that's where I was like, oh, Susan's gonna know about this.
of course. I was like, because I'm looking.
Yeah, so there's another young Avenger
Mhm.
being set up.
Yeah, that's happening. Like I don't know when, but it's happening.
It's happening.
There's too many of
They're
these.
all there now. There's so many of
There's
them.
so many of them there.
So all right, now we have Sam and Bucky are arguing in the street. Why did no one tell Sam? And then the cops show up and start harassing them and ask Bucky if Sam is bothering him. And man, I it's very realistic. It still made me furious.
You made me furious, and I was like, we did get a question that was like, what are your thoughts on the scene with the cops? And it was like they behaved like cops.
Yeah, they were being cops. That
They-
was very realistic.
and yeah,
And
it was so upsetting to see in the show, but we gotta again face the demons.
face the demons. Sam won't show them his ID because he knows better.
Mhm.
Can't, I mean, that, he's not going to reach for anything.
Nope.
Nope. And they tell him to calm down. And he's like, I am calm.
Yeah, and then also when Bucky's like, just show him your ID, and Sam's like, and because Bucky just doesn't get it. Like
Doesn't get it.
Bucky's like missing a huge piece of the puzzle, whether that, I mean, there's so many reasons he could be, right? Because he's a white man of like, I mean, I want to say like a certain age, but more like appearing a certain age,
Yeah, appearing a certain age.
appearing a certain age, but also like all of the time that he missed.
Yeah, he's been in and out in the super soldier way, not really keeping up with history because how would he?
Yeah.
And I don't. He is dealing with his own demons still so much that I don't know that he's put the effort in to learn history the way that Steve did.
Yeah, the way that Steve had the little note, like the notebook, and yeah. Also, Steve was, Captain America, so there's a little bit more of an obligation to the country that you're representing.
America.
But yeah, Bucky for sure had no concept of like why Sam wasn't reaching for his ID, why Sam like
Why are they asking me if he's bothering me? Like he didn't. But he does lose it, which again showing an incredible level of respect for Sam that he doesn't show him like to him, but he says, "Do you know who this is?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, he's not about to have Sam be hassled
Right.
at all.
And then they figure out that he's an Avenger, but it was also like they still were going to kind of hold him, which was like weird to me too, where I was just, well, not weird to me because it's like, of course, like even him being an Avenger doesn't make up for the fact that he's black bothering a white guy, like, or the perception of.
And also that thing where if it's a celebrity, they're suddenly like, "Oh, we're so sorry, didn't recognize you. You didn't have your goggles on. Like, our bad."
Yeah,
but
you didn't have those giant wings that you always have on you, so we didn't recognize you.
And yeah, they really, really showed us the truth there because they had called for backup. 2 more cop cars show up right after that.
Mm-hmm.
So they had already planned out some sort of horrible situation. But it turns out there's a warrant for Bucky.
Because he missed his court-appointed therapy to help Sam.
And I couldn't tell in the moment because Sam just got like a ton of trauma right in a row. Here's Isaiah, here's the super soldier I didn't know about. Now these cops are hassling me. Now Bucky's got to go to jail. Like I don't know if it hit him that like that Bucky has been doing stuff for him, although maybe he's known all along. Their relationship is really interesting, I guess.
We have a very complex relationship.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that Marvel decided to explore it like this.
So now we're in jail.
No, we're in jail.
Dr. Rayner, the therapist, comes in and says hi to Sam. She says, I've heard a lot about you, which, of course.
Of course she has.
And Sam thinks that she cleared things up and got Bucky let out. But nope, there's John Walker. It was him. Guess what? He can make any orders he wants. No more therapy for Bucky. Change his schedule. He's too important. I can get whatever I want. I'm Captain America.
I was like what a douchebag. Like
And he's being a douche the whole
yeah.
time.
He's
Like,
not even trying to like not be a douche.
He is the douchey quarterback, and that's his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But Dr. Rayner's going to make them do a therapy session right now, Sam and Bucky. And even though Sam tries to get out of it, and he says he's 100% fine. No. So she tries the miracle question exercise, which does not go well. But then she says the soul gazing exercise, where they have to stare into each other's eyes, and they end up interlocking legs because she keeps making them get closer. But they turn it into a staring contest.
Well, what's so funny about it is like this was actually like a setup and a punchline from earlier in the episode, because they kept like Sam kept talking about how Bucky stares like the whole episode. So then, oh my God, I was like, you guys also brilliantly set up their staring contest.
Yeah. I love they both have the little eye twitch. Like you see Bucky, because I think Sam starts the staring contest, and you see Bucky realize that's what's happening.
Because Sam's the little brother. Sam pokes. That's what happens. But then Bucky gets in trouble because Sam pokes and Bucky hits. Like, that's such a sibling relationship. I can't even get over it.
And the therapist, who calls Bucky James because that's his name and you're not friends.
Yeah.
Why does Sam aggravate you?
Don't,
and it looks like,
and don't say something childish.
But it looks like Bucky has been making progress in therapy, because he does talk about his feelings.
Yeah.
He's upset that Sam gave up the shield because Steve believed in him and gave it to you for a reason. It's his legacy. And if he was wrong about you taking that over, maybe he was wrong about me. And that's when I cried.
That's when we both cried. That was when I texted Tab. I was like, this show's not supposed to make me cry. I'm supposed to, like, I already got through the show that like, but I was like, Tab, I cried. And you even said, like, you don't cry in this. I cry.
I cry at this.
But yeah.
Yeah.
He's wrong about you, but he's wrong about me. And the delivery of that was so brilliant, because it was like a list of things that seem on the surface superficial. Like you gave up the shield, that's Steve, like, and it's all about Steve, right? Until it turns really quickly and it's about him.
Yeah. So we talked the last episode about how heavily Cap and his legacy is weighing on Sam. But now I think we really see that Steve believing in Bucky is the only reason he's still going.
A whole lot of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
He is staying alive because Steve believed in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So, and, you know, I also think that Bucky, you know, we see him struggle so much with his past and everything, but the thing that always made him think that deep down he was good was Steve believing in him. Like, if my best friend doesn't give up on me, if my brother doesn't give up on me, then I am still good somewhere in here and I can be good. But like, so that hits so much harder if you like, you know, if Steve is wrong about Sam, he's wrong about me. That means I'm not good. That means I'm just the Winter Soldier.
I'm just a killer.
Yeah.
That's his Steve in Winter Soldier at the end risks his life, risks everything to try and bring Bucky back. He's willing to die for him. Mm-hmm. And now Bucky's doubting if that if he was right or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam says, "Can you accept that I did what I thought was right?" Because he did. He did what he thought was right. Yeah.
He's right. Yeah.
It's not his fault that the government is a monster. It's really not.
The government has a complete history of betraying people.
Yeah. And they agree to squash it right now. They're going to do their mission and they're never going to see each other again.
But they love each other.
Yeah.
They're secretly besties.
As he's leaving the room, Bucky says to Dr. Rayner, "What was rule number 2 again?" And she says, "Don't hurt anyone." And he just glares at her. And I took that to mean that he had just hurt Sam emotionally.
Yeah, I took that to mean that too. Yeah.
They get outside the police station. Guess who's waiting for them? The Goblin King, John Walker.
Again, the show does such a brilliant job of contrasting things where it's like you have that deep emotional scene between two people who love each other deeply to like some dickbag sitting outside a police station.
Setting off the siren.
Yeah, like playing with a cop car.
He calls them over. So they go over there and he gives this big, "We don't stand a chance if we divide ourselves." They share information. He calls him Bucky again. And I was like, I hope Bucky just slaps this guy. But
you know what I hope happens more so than I want Bucky to slap him? I want Sam to slap him for Bucky.
Well,
like Sam hits his wit's end of this guy like who is using Steve's nickname for him.
Yeah, and Sam knows that was too far because he steps in before it comes to blow. He knows that Bucky was about to lose it. Mm-hmm. And he says they're free agents, so it doesn't make sense to work together because they can do non-sanctioned things. Yeah. Actually a great point, even if they super liked him.
Both those men did not sign the accords ever.
Yeah. And
situation.
Sam is doing those government contracts, but it's so that they can get around things like that. Yeah. So, but then John Walker says, "Stay the hell out of my way."
Way.
Great.
Cursed so much in this one. Like I rarely curse on this show, and I just like John, this U.S. agent man, like like he just like I hate him so much. And you know what's really great is I really like hating him. Like he's a good guy to hate because even Wyatt Russell, there's something about his face, like
real punchable
hair and stuff. You just want to hit him. Like I want to hit him, and I'm not that violent of a person.
And he's nailing this.
He's absolutely nailing this. Like hateable guy.
Yeah. So we cut to Slovakia, and the Flag Smashers are loading up their plane, but they've been found. And boy, does this get real like breezed over. It's the power brokers men. So now we know who's after them. And who likely text Carly, the power brokers. So the power brokers in the comics
I didn't catch these, so
also here we go. Yeah. In the comics, it's Power Broker Inc., and it's like a company. And the actual like head guy, the power broker, you never learn his identity. Mm-hmm. You know some of the members, including Dr. Carl Malice and Curtis Jackson. Mm-hmm. And they use technology to augment the strength of paying customers to superhuman levels. It's a risky procedure. Some of the subjects die or become severely deformed, but they do have a way to make you into essentially a super soldier for money. Also, as part of this in the comics, they get their subjects addicted to a drug, telling them it will stabilize the process. But really, it's just to keep them in check and keep them owing them tasks and money.
Human trafficking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Superhuman trafficking.
Superhuman trafficking. Excellent.
Susan, would you like to wager a guess as to what characters in the comics they might have given super strength to?
No, you tell me.
John Walker and Lamar Hoskins.
What?
Isn't that so weird?
So weird. I never would have guessed that.
So Walker and Hoskins in the comics do actually end up turning on the power brokers. And they destroy all their equipment, but they kept their abilities.
Because they're selfish a-holes.
In 2008, we got a new version of the power broker. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a little closer to what's going on now, because that guy has an app and it's called Hinch X, and it's like a villain for hire app.
That sounds familiar.
It sounds familiar because it gets him tangled up with Cassie Lang.
Yes. I was like, that sounds really familiar to me. Granted, it's been a minute since 2008, but I was like, I'm pretty sure I've read whatever this is. Yep. Oh my God, that's a great storyline too.
Mm-hmm. And she's
awesome.
She's awesome. She gets powers from him as part of her spying on him, but he also gives her alias, Stinger. And again, even this 2008 new version with the app, never know who this dude is.
Yeah.
Never find out.
Okay. But again, Cassie Lang, another Young Avenger.
So again, we're back into like, are these bad guys? Because really they're on the run from these super soldier makers that presumably drugged them and gave them powers and maybe made them do stuff they didn't want to.
So they could wind up, actually, they sound like they might have a similar emotional weight to Bucky.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe Carly will give him a hug.
Maybe Carly will give him a hug, Stace. That is a question our friend Stace sent. She's just said, who should give Bucky a hug? Discuss.
Just Carly. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely give him a hug. Tab and I will also give him a hug if he wants us to.
So one of the Flag Smashers, the one they mistook for being the leader before, offers himself up as a sacrifice to buy them time. He slows down the cars that are coming by pushing over a electric pole. But he definitely gets shot to death after that. Yeah. Carly, again, showing that she is not some sort of evil.
Yeah, she looked hurt.
And she was crying. She had tears running down her face. She watched.
Even before when he volunteered to do that, she was like she felt it.
These aren't henchmen to her.
No, they aren't.
And whatever their cause is, truly, when we get more into it, it's they're willing to die for it, and they're willing to sacrifice people like within their group that they care about for it. So here we are again. Are these the bad guys?
True.
So we go back to Sam and Bucky, and they're talking about what to do. And that's when they have the little, like, when he said my people, and Sam's like, oh, no. He's like, no, he meant Hydra.
Yeah.
So I know what we should do, because I know who knows Hydra's secrets, all of them. And that's Zemo. And so they're going to do a Hannibal
Zemo, which sounds like a very smart decision, boys. Super on board with this.
I really thought that Zemo was probably out of jail and out doing his own thing by now.
It's going to be their fault.
It's going to be their fault. But I really thought that was where we'd catch up with him, and to find out that instead Sam and Bucky have to go to him for help and talk to him is so much more exciting and interesting.
It's so much more exciting and interesting, but it's also like he's the reason, like they're the reason he's gonna get out. They're gonna Hannibal him. That's how Hannibal gets out.
Maybe he does what Hannibal does sometimes and just causes like such a big distracting like You think he's going to do the straight up? So Hannibal, in exchange for information, one thing he asks for is that Jodie Foster shares information with him. So I'm pretty sure Zemo's going to ask these questions too. What's been going on? What's going on with superheroes?
Both guys too.
Yeah. And then maybe he will ask for better accommodations for helping, and that is how Hannibal escapes.
That's true.
We do cut to him. He is in what appears to be a state-of-the-art prison facility, and we get a very brief look of his face before it cuts to credits. And I'm genuinely so stoked to watch them all talk to each other.
I am too. I'm just very like, guys, you can't really afford to mess up right now, and you guys are gonna mess up so badly.
It's gonna be real bad.
It's gonna be so bad.
We didn't, before we get to questions, because some people wanted to know about some of the new characters that were being introduced, and I kind of like breezed over Lamar. Mm-hmm. So Lamar is worked for the Bold Urban Commando, which were called the Buckies. And they staged attacks on the Super Patriot during his rallies, which the Super Patriot was John Walker. That's one of his other aliases. And then when that John Walker also became Captain America, he asked I'm going to call them commandos. He asked the commandos to keep working with him. Mm-hmm. And so later, again, getting into racial issues, later, I believe the writer finds out, but then they worked it into the comic. Hoskins finds out that Bucky is like a demeaning term to Black people, and that's why he changes his name to Battlestar. And he isn't always. He's not as much of a bad guy as Walker is. His rap sheet's a little better.
Well, I really just don't think he's gonna wind up sticking with Walker somehow.
Yeah, I think that they're probably gonna go their separate ways. Super fun fact. One of the teams he worked with was the Ducky Dozen, which was led by Howard the Duck.
Oh my God. I was like,
they have to go to an alternate reality.
Doesn't I was like, there's no way that's Howard the Duck.
It's absolutely Howard the Duck. Here again, out of context, insane sentence about a comic. Howard the Duck recruits him to fight Nazi zombies in another dimension.
Oh, obviously. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Obviously.
But he did, like I said, he tangled with the power broker and got his super strength, speed, stamina, durability, agility, all of it. And he already was a good hand-to-hand fighter because he was trained by Taskmaster.
Oh, fun!
Who we also know is coming up. Taskmaster is the villain of
Black Widow movie. Yeah. So, tying in.
Battlestar gets his own shield. It's triangular, but it's made of adamantium, which they're now allowed to have and use in the MCU. They couldn't even say adamantium while.
That's true. So now they can actually say adamantium.
Yeah. So they can go back to being able to use that if they want. I assume Wolverine, when and if he shows up, will still be adamantium.
I assume that as well. That would be ridiculous if he was not adamantium.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a little background on Battlestar for you. He has a ridiculous costume. I'll post a picture. And again, like we mentioned, people were asking, like, can you talk about Isaiah? What's his history? Can you talk about Eli? Where's he from? So, like, a lot of people excited and wanting to know more. And then Mediocre Jedi specifically asks, do you think we'll see Eli Bradley suit up in this series? And that's interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, none of the Young Avengers have suited up yet.
That's why I was going to say, no, I don't think so, because we have not seen any Young Avengers suit up yet.
I wonder who the first one will be. Oh, it's going to be Miss Marvel.
Oh, or Kate.
Yeah, it's Miss Marvel and Kate are the first to suit up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate Bishop.
I like that we do this all the time where we're like, we just refer to them by their first names. Kate Bishop is Hawkeye in the Hawkeye show, played by Haley Steinfeld.
Yes. And he, Mediocre Jedi, also asks, excellent question. How receptive do you think Zemo is going to be?
Well, Hannibal, they're gonna have to like give and take. Zemo's like an intellectual. There's gonna be an excellent. It's gonna be full Silence of the Lambs Hannibal happening. With Zemo.
So excited!
I'm so excited for that. That's one of my favorite movies.
And he already was Bucky's fake therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Like he already knows so much about him. I don't know how much he knows about Sam since when he messed with them. So
you have to make some offerings.
Colombian Love 41. Will the serum lead to Ross using it and Red Hulk comes into the MCU? We're setting up the serum. We've got some guy out here dealing serum.
But I don't know that it'll happen in this show. There's already a lot going on in this show.
He says the end of the MCU, so he might mean...
Okay, yeah, sure. This could be the Easter egg that brings it into something else that then brings in Red Hulk. Like, yes. But is it going to happen in this show? I don't think so.
You know who I think would love to get their hands on some serum?
Besides John Walker?
Besides John Walker. Is from WandaVision, Hayward.
Oh my God. I hate that guy. Yes, he would. He would love to. Yeah, he totally would.
For all his talk about superpowered people and stuff like that, you know the root of that is jealousy.
Yeah, totally. He totally would. He would take the serum in a second if they would give it to him.
Mm-hmm. You just gotta get out of jail and pony up money to the power broker while he's around. And then, sort of similar, Lampkin Michael D. Will John Walker take some sort of serum before the series ends since he's so overmatched? Yeah, I think he's going to.
And I don't think it's going to be like, I think it might be like next episode. Like I think, or 4, maybe 4.
Is he tracking the Flag Smashers because he thinks they're bad? Or does he want to know where they got that super serum from?
Yeah, I think it in the next episode or episode 4, like he's going to take it sooner because there are only 6 episodes of this.
That's true.
So
yeah, he needs it sooner rather than later. And I assume both he and Hoskins will take it and lead to a little bit more equal fighting. Mm-hmm. I mean, I kind of feel like they said it all with that pull-up. That's why I loved that so much.
That's good. And what's funny is I took no note of that at all, other than just like, I hate that guy. Like, I'm like hating him so much. I'm just like, oh, look, he can't even do a pull-up. I can't do it.
Yeah, but think about like Steve would have just like himself up.
Yeah.
But a normal human, like,
I mean, I guess
strongest normal human.
That I should have taken more note right there, but I didn't because I was just hating on him.
Yeah. Well, he is. I mean, it was fun to watch him struggle, and I think unfortunately we're gonna watch him kick ass for a while
until he reveals his true nature, and then he's defeated.
Curious as to how he will reveal his true nature, since in the comics he basically said he was going to nuke a city.
Well, that is all we have for episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm Susan.
I'm Tab.
We are MCU Explained. All of our social media information is in the description below. Feel free to like us and please hit that subscribe button because we would love to keep making these videos. We're going to regardless, but we do want you to subscribe. So we will be back next week with episode 3. And thank you all for watching and we'll see you in the next video.